Kuala Lumpur. When you hear the name, you probably think, I don't know, Petronas Towers, right?
Hmm.
Amazing food, bustling markets.
Absolutely. That vibrant mix of cultures,
Yeah.
it definitely draws people in, visitors, tourists, travelers.
Yeah, it really does. But like any big city, especially when you don't know, you wonder, what's it really like?
Yeah,
Beyond the highlights, is it safe? What should I expect?
exactly. And that's what we're digging into today. We're focusing specifically on, the visitor experience in KL.
We've got some interesting stuff to look at.
We really do. We've got data from the Organized Crime Index for Malaysia, gives us that sort of high-level view, especially with KL being the capital.
Okay.
Then something completely different, a Reddit thread, Malaysia safety as 28F. A solo female traveler shared her feelings, kind of raw, about being uncomfortable in KL.
Oh, wow. Okay. That sounds like it could be revealing.
Yeah, it sparked a huge discussion. Lots of other travelers chimed in. And finally, we have a more practical guide, safety tips for solo female travelers in Kuala Lumpur.
Got it. So the plan is to weave these together, give you, the listener, a balanced picture of the potential issues, but also the good experiences people have shared.
That's the mission, to help you understand what to expect if you're thinking of visiting.
All right, let's start with that crime context then. You mentioned the Organized Crime Index, but there is also that Dim Sum Daily piece on the Numbeo Crime Index. That one kind of jumped out at me.
It ranked Kuala Lumpur third most dangerous city in Southeast Asia. That's based on perception, mind you. Crime index around 60.4 as of early 2025.
Third. Wow, just behind Manila and Cebu City in the Philippines.
That's right. And what's maybe even more noteworthy is that other Malaysian cities were high up too. Klang and Johor Bahru in the top 10.
And Georgetown, Penang, which lots of tourists love, was 15th.
Yeah, so it paints a picture, doesn't it? Not just KL.
It does. But how do they get these numbers? It's not official police stats, is it?
No. That's the key thing. Numbeo uses surveys. They ask website visitors how safe they feel walking around day and night. Concerns about theft, robbery, assault, that kind of thing.
So it's about perception, how safe people feel.
Exactly. Which is valuable, definitely reflects a level of concern, but it's not the same as hard crime data.
Right. And Numbeo themselves say be careful comparing countries because reporting differs so much.
Precisely. Apples and oranges, potentially.
Still, that feeling, that perception, it ties directly into that Reddit thread you mentioned, right? The solo female traveler, Boston Cream Donuts.
It really does. She landed in KL, was staying in Chinatown near Pedaling Street, and immediately felt uneasy.
Uneasy how?
She mentioned just like the sheer number of men compared to women on the street feeling intensely stared at. She even said it reminded her of experiences in India, which, can be known for that kind of unwanted attention.
Okay, wow. So right off the bat, that perception of safety or lack of it hit her hard.
Yeah, that first impression. And it wasn't just a general feeling. She mentioned feeling more uncomfortable at night, noticing very few other women around her hostel area.
And didn't she say someone filmed her?
She did. Filmed without permission. That just amplified the feeling of being watched, singled out. It really shows how things that aren't necessarily crimes can still massively impact how safe you feel.
Definitely. So what did other people on Reddit say? Did they agree?
Well, it was fascinating. A real mix. Quite a few people suggested Chinatown itself was the issue.
Ah, location specific.
Yeah, suggesting moving to areas like Buka Bintang. Multiple users said it felt safer, more tourists, more expats.
Okay, that makes sense. Different vibes in different neighborhoods.
Totally. Someone called 404 note acceptable, even recommended a specific hostel there, said they got stared at way less in the more touristy spots. But then you had others, like This Is Funmei, who said they felt fine in KL.
Fine how? Like, no issues at all?
Pretty much. Stuck to tourist spots during the day, felt safe. Did notice some filming, like the original poster, but didn't have bad interactions. So your mileage may vary, clearly.
Clearly. Depends where you are, maybe time of day.
And who you are, potentially. Other women echoed the staring issue.
Yeah.
Wise Whale Shark mentioned constant stares, some catcalling, men asking for photos. It made her feel really uncomfortable traveling alone.
Ugh, that sounds exhausting and unnerving.
And she, along with Sensitive Counter 830, brought up feeling like invisible when with a male companion. Service staff just ignoring them, talking only to the man.
Huh. That's subtle, but I can see how that would feel alienating, especially if you're solo.
Right. And the comments about Chinatown just kept coming. People calling it ghetto, seedy.
Strong words.
Very. Saying even locals avoid it at night. Mentions of shady massage parlors, maybe prostitution. Stuff that would understandably make a visitor, especially a woman alone, feel unsafe choosing accommodation there.
Yeah, you wouldn't want to unknowingly book a place in an area like that.
Exactly. But contrast that with positive experiences mentioned near KLCC, the towers, and definitely in other places like Georgetown or Langkawi. People call those places safer, more relaxed, friendlier.
So it reinforces that idea. KL isn't one single experience, and Malaysia isn't either.
Definitely not. The Reddit thread also had practical tips, like dressing modestly, covering hair, loose clothes maybe to reduce attention.
Does that work, though?
Mixed reports. Some said it helped. Others said they dressed modestly and still got stared at or hassled. So, not a guaranteed solution.
And you mentioned something more serious came up.
Yeah, unfortunately, one user, Vavavu, reported a sexual assault in Chinatown.
Oh, wow. That's awful. A very serious reminder amidst the talk of staring and feeling uncomfortable.
Absolutely. It underscores that while harassment might be more common, the risk of serious crime is real, and vigilance is crucial, which leads to the other advice.
Like being aware of your surroundings, especially at night.
Exactly. And using ride-sharing like Grab. That came up a lot. Safer, more convenient than maybe hailing a cab or walking late.
And didn't a local weigh in?
Yes, Electroraven, a Malaysian user, confirmed Chinatown can be shady at night. Actually advised the original poster to switch accommodation. That local perspective adds real weight, I think.
Okay, so we have this picture. Data showing perceived risk, and traveler stories confirming discomfort, harassment, and sometimes worse, often linked to specific areas like Chinatown. How does the broader organized crime stuff fit in? Does that report shed light on why visitors might feel unsafe?
Well, it's indirect, mostly. The Criminality in Malaysia report talks about Malaysia being a destination for human trafficking. Victims are usually foreign workers, not tourists.
Okay, so not directly targeting visitors.
Right. But the presence of those criminal networks, exploiting vulnerable people, it can contribute to a general sense of lawlessness or insecurity in certain areas. It affects the overall atmosphere.
I see. What else did that report mention?
Human smuggling was another point, linked to labor shortages. And, disturbingly, it mentioned potential involvement of people within state structures. That suggests potential corruption, which never helps overall safety.
No, definitely not.
And more directly relevant, maybe, is the rise in extortion rackets targeting businesses in the Klang Valley, which includes KL.
How does that affect tourists?
Again, probably indirectly. But active gangs extorting businesses means crime is present, it's organized, and it could spill over or just make the environment feel less secure for everyone, visitors included.
Right. Even if you're not the target, knowing it's happening nearby isn't exactly comforting.
Exactly. And the report also flagged high levels of cybercrime and financial crime. Now, that could definitely impact tourists.
Ah, scams. Online fraud.
Precisely. Tourists might be less aware of local scams, maybe a bit more relaxed with online security while traveling. They could be easier targets. That lines up perfectly with the Safety Tips Guide warning about scams.
Okay, so that brings us to the practical side. What can visitors actually do? Based on the safety guide and all those Reddit suggestions.
Well, the core message, unsurprisingly, is vigilance. Pay attention. Standard travel smarts you'd use in any big city.
But more specifically for KL.
Location, location,
Yeah,
location
yes.
seems key. Choosing where you stay, Bukit Bintang, near KLCC areas, generally seen as safer, more tourist-friendly. That came up again and again.
Makes sense. What else?
Being aware of your surroundings, especially at night or in less crowded spots, that's crucial. And using ride-sharing apps like Grab, particularly after dark, seems like a consensus recommendation for safety and convenience.
Okay, easy enough.
And probably the most important one, trust your gut. If something feels off, leave. Don't worry about being polite, just get out of this situation.
Always good advice. Anything specific for solo women?
The idea of female-only dorms or hostels came up. Good way to meet other travelers, feel a bit more secure, maybe.
Right. And it's worth repeating, wasn't there a point made that violent crime against tourists isn't thought to be super common?
Yeah, several people mentioned that. The discomfort often seems to stem more from the harassment, the staring, feeling unwelcome in certain places, rather than a high risk of, say, mugging, though obviously, as the assault report showed, serious incidents can happen.
Understood. What about getting around? Public transport?
It came up on Reddit, too. KL has options, LRT, MRT, buses, ETS trains.
But I sense a but.
Well, opinions varied on convenience, and some people mentioned the last mile problem.
Meaning?
Meaning the train might get you close, but getting to or from the station might involve walking through areas you don't know or feel comfortable in. especially after dark.
Okay. Which loops back to the grab recommendation.
Exactly. For convenience and maybe that extra bit of perceived safety, especially at night or for those shorter hops to from stations, the safety guide also leans that way.
So wrapping this up, Kuala Lumpur. It's complicated.
That seems fair to say. It offers amazing experiences, no doubt. Vibrant culture, great food, sights. But, yeah.
Some travelers, especially solo women, report issues. Staring, harassment, feeling uncomfortable, particularly in certain spots like Chinatown.
And the crime perception data, like from Numbeo, does put KL relatively high for Southeast Asia.
It does. But crucially, many other visitors have a great time, feel perfectly safe, especially if they stay in tourist-friendly areas and, keep their wits about them.
So the takeaways seem to be, do your homework on areas before booking accommodation. Be vigilant, especially at night. Trust your instincts.
Pretty much. We hope this deep dive, pulling together the data, the raw experiences from Reddit, the practical tips, gives you a more complete picture to work with, helps you form your own expectations without just getting one side of the story.
Yeah, helps you navigate it all, which leads to a final thought, maybe.
Given everything we've discussed, the varied experiences, the crime factors, the social stuff that makes people feel safe or unsafe, what's the balance of responsibility here? Between us as visitors being prepared and the city itself, the authorities, making KL truly welcoming and secure for everyone.
That's a big question. Something to definitely ponder. How do global cities like KL manage that? It might make you want to look into safe travel resources or even what local initiatives are doing wherever you plan to go next.